I'm going to show you how to go about doing a cabled heart, and I'm going to show you how to do it in the round. So you're going to be working over a space of 20 pegs, and I'm actually doing this on the 60 peg loom, but I'm just going to show you how to do this in the 20 peg set, because on the 60 peg you'll repeat it 3 times, and on a smaller loom you may only repeat it twice. So you're going to E-wrap the first peg. Okay, then you're going to E-wrap 1, and then you're going to purl 5. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to split 4 out. And so what that means is we're going to do a 4 peg left cable cross. So we're going to do a 4 peg left cable cross. Now, to do that, what you need to keep in mind is you need these 2 pegs to cross into the front. So we'll need to get loops 1 and 2 onto a stitch holder. Here's our next 4 pegs, and you're going to place loop 2 on the stitch holder first. Then you're going to place loop 1 on the stitch holder. Next, then you'll take those off the pegs. And I will tell you that the 4 peg left cable cross is going to always be more difficult than the right. Okay, and now what we want to do is we want to E-wrap 2. Then you're going to take, so you E-wrap pegs 3 and 4. Then you're going to take and put loop 3 on peg 1 and loop 4 on peg 2. Then put your working yarn, make sure it's in the front. Then you're going to take off your first loop and you're going to place it onto peg 3. And then you're going to E-wrap and toss over. Bring the working yarn forwards and place loop 2 on peg 4. As I said, the left cable cross, 4 peg cable cross, is your most difficult. And you're going to E-wrap that. Now you're going to go in and snug these back up. So they're nice and snug, and they give you a better cabling. Now you're going to take and do a right cable cross. This is the V, the bottom V of the heart that connects with the top of it. So now we're going to take the next 4 pegs and we're going to do a right cable cross, which means these 2 loops need to go in front. This means that we skip pegs 1 and 2, E-wrap pegs 3 and 4, toss them over. Put loop 4, then loop 3 on the stitch holders and take off. Then pull the working yarn in front, and then you're going to E-wrap peg 1 and 2. And the reason why you're E-wrapping peg 1 and then 2 is because when you go and you shift them, they line up evenly right beside each other. So now you're going to put loop 2 on peg 4. It won't slip out of my fingers. Okay, you're going to place loop 2 on peg 4 and loop 1 on peg 3. Then you're going to take your stitch holder and you're going to take loop 3 off first, and you're going to place it onto peg 1. Then you're going to place loop 4 onto peg 2. And this is your 4-peg right cable cross. And again, go in and tighten up your loops. For some reason that's not wanting to tighten. There it goes. Doesn't normally give me that kind of trouble. Okay. And tightening your loops makes for nice, clean cabling. And so what we've just done is we've just completed this section here. Right there. And as you can see, there's our cross right there. Now we're going to go in and purl 5. E-wrap 1, and that is your 20 peg set. That's actually row 2 of your 20 peg set. Since we're on the repeat, I'm showing you it from the first cabling. So we're right here, and so depending on the loom you're using, you could be doing this pattern once or twice. It just depends. It's up to you. You can do this 2 more times on here, which I will write this pattern out. You can either do it 2 more times, or you can do it 1 more. Okay, now we're going to move on to our next cabled row of this heart pattern. And what you're going to do is you're going to E-wrap 1, then you're going to purl 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now what you're going to do is a 3-peg left cable cross. And what that means is you're going to want to take these 2 pegs and you're going to want to cross them over and purl the next one. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick that next loop up and put it on our stitch holder. Then we're going to skip over to pegs 2 and 3 and we're going to E-wrap them. We're going to toss the bottom loops over. Then what we're going to do is we're going to move peg 3 to peg 2 and peg 2 to peg 1. Move your working yarn forward and then place your stitch holder loop on peg 3, which is going to be loop 1, and you're going to purl it. Now you're going to E-wrap 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now you want to do a 3-peg right cable cross, which means you're going to skip pegs 1 and 2, and you're going to purl peg 3 and place it onto the stitch holder. Then you're going to take and E-wrap pegs 1 and 2. Then you're going to place loop 2 onto peg 3 and loop 1 onto peg 2. And then you're going to place your stitch holder loop, which was loop 3, onto peg 1. And then what you'll want to do is you'll want to go in and snug those loops up. That keeps it looking nice and smooth. Then you're going to purl 4. There's 2, 3, 4. E-wrap 1. We just completed the next row of our cabled heart set. And where that is right in here where we start purling. So there's the first one, and here's the next one. So go ahead and pause the video and complete that 20 peg set however many times depending on the loom you're using, and then we'll move on to the next row. Okay, we're now to the next row in our cabled heart set, and what we're going to be doing is E-wrap 1, purl 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to do that 3-peg left cable cross again. So we're going to put our next loop on the stitch holder, hold it to the center, skip that peg, that empty peg, E-wrap pegs 2 and 3, place loop 2 onto peg 1, loop 3 on to peg 2. Make sure you're working yarns in the front. Pick up your stitch holder and put loop 1 onto peg 3. Go ahead and snug up those loops a little bit and then purl. Okay, then E-wrap 4 again. Excuse me. Then what you're going to do is purl 1, E-wrap 4, purl 1, skip. We're going to do a 3-peg right cable cross, so skips peg 1 and 2, purl peg 3, place onto stitch holder, E-wrap pegs 1 and 2 in that order, place loop 2 to peg 3 and loop 1 to peg 2, and then place the stitch holder loop, which was loop 3, to peg 1. And then you'll want to snug up those loops. And then you'll purl 3. And then E-wrap 1. Go ahead and pause video and complete that however many times you're doing, and then we'll move to the next row. Okay, on our next row, what we're going to do is E-wrap 1, purl 2, 1, 2, 3 peg left cable cross, so we pick up that first loop, put it on the stitch holder, skip that peg, E-wrap pegs 2 and 3, place loop 2 to peg 1 and loop 3 to peg 2, and then place your purl that was on peg 1 on peg 3. Go ahead and purl it. Then you're going to purl 2. Then you're going to do a 4 peg left cable cross. So here's your 4 pegs right here. So you're going to take and place loop 2 on the stitch holder, then loop 1 on the stitch holder. Take them off the peg, place into the center. Then skip pegs 1 and 2 and E-wrap pegs 3 and 4. Place loop 3 on peg 1, loop 4 on peg 2. Bring your working yarn to the front. Then you're going to go in and take loop 1 off and place it on peg 3. I'm going to go ahead and tighten these two up, and then I'm going to E-wrap peg 3, bring the working yarn forward, place loop 2 on peg 4, again the 4 peg left cable cross is not always easy. Place it on there and E-wrap peg 4. Now you're going to purl 2, 1, 2, and then you're going to do a 3 peg right cable cross, so skip pegs 1 and 2, purl peg 3, place on stitch holder, E-wrap pegs 1 and 2. Place loop 2 on peg 3 and loop 1 on peg 2, and place your purled stitch 3 on peg 1. Then you'll want to go in and tighten those loops up. Purl 2, E-wrap 1. Continue that 20 row pattern for however many times you're doing it on your hat, and then we will go on to the next row. Next we're going to do this next row. You're going to repeat for 3 times, so it counts as 3 rows. And the best way to show that is this section here. So this is actually probably some of the easiest rows. So what you'll want to do is E-wrap 1, purl 2, 1, 2, E-wrap 2, purl 3, ear up 4, purl 3, ear up 2, purl 2, ear up 1. And you'll repeat this row that we just did 3 times. So go ahead and pause the video and complete that row 3 times for however many rows you're doing the heart pattern here. And then we'll start doing the process of going back in towards the center again. So go ahead and pause the video and complete what we just did 3 more times, and then we'll go from there. Okay, moving on to the next row, we're going to be starting the process of going back in after we've done the 3-row section through there. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to ear up 1 for the next row, and then you're going to purl 2, then you're going to right cable cross, a 3-peg right cable cross, so you skip pegs 1 and 2, purl peg 3, then ear wrap pegs 1 and 2, place loop 2 on peg 3, and loop 1 on peg 2, and then place loop 3 on peg 1, and then what you'll want to do is you'll want to go in and snug up those loops, and then you will purl 2. Now you're dealing with your 4, and you're going to do a 4-peg left cable cross. So you're going to put loop 2 on the stitch holder, then loop 1. Then you're going to take those off, pull them to the center, pick up your working yarn, skip pegs 1 and 2, ear wrap pegs 3 and 4. Then you're going to place loop 3 on peg 1 and loop 4 on peg 2. I'll go ahead and snug those loops up. Then you're going to take off loop 1 off your stitch holder, and you're going to place it on peg 3. Then you're going to ear wrap and toss over. Then you're going to place loop 2 on peg 4. Move that out of the way a little bit. There we go. As always, that last one gives you a little trouble on the left cable cross of 4 pegs. Okay, ear wrap, toss over. Now you're going to purl 2, and then you're going to do a 3-peg left cable cross. So place the first loop onto the stitch holder, skip peg 1, ear wrap pegs 2 and 3, place loop 2 on peg 1 and loop 3 on peg 2, and then place, I'll go ahead and snug that up a little bit, since this yarn doesn't like to snug up real well. And then we'll go ahead and place loop 1 onto peg 3, and we're going to purl. Then we're going to purl 2. And E-wrap 1. So go ahead and continue that however many times you're doing for whichever size loom you're doing, and then we will go to the next row, and we should be getting up into here. Okay, we're going to go to the next row. We're going to start it. It's going to be E-wrap 1, purl 3, then we're going to do a 3-stitch right cable cross, so skips pegs 1 and 2, purl peg 3, put that on the stitch holder, then E-wraps peg 1 and 2, place loop 2 on peg 3, and loop 1 on peg 2, and loop 3 from the stitch holder onto peg 1. Then you'll go in and you'll snug that up. Okay, then you'll purl 1, E-wrap 4, purl 1, then you're going to do a 3 peg left cable cross, so place the first loop onto the stitch holder, skip peg 1, E-wraps peg 2 and 3, place loop 2 onto peg 1, loop 3 onto peg 2, snug those up, then place the first loop onto peg 3 and purl. Then you're going to purl 3, E-wrap 1. Continue that however many times, and then we'll go to the next row. And we're getting very close to our point right in here. Okay, we're going to do our next row. And so what you're going to do is you're going to E-wrap 1, purl 4, then you're going to do a 3 peg right cable cross, so skip pegs 1 and 2, purl peg 3, put on stitch holder, E-wrap pegs 1 and 2, place loop 2 onto peg 3, loop 1 onto peg 2, and loop 3 onto peg 1, and snug up your loops. Then you're going to E-wrap 4. Then you're going to do a left 3 peg left cable cross, So take the first loop and put it onto the stitch holder. E-wrap pegs 2 and 3. Place loop 2 onto peg 1, loop 3 onto peg 2. I'm going to go ahead and snug those loops up. And then place loop 1 from the stitch holder onto peg 3 and purl. Then you purl 4, and E-wrap 1. Okay. At this point, you've completed your set of your pattern, which puts you right here before the cross. They've just connected. Now to complete the actual heart, you'll need to go in and start from the beginning of the video when we do the cross down here, the left cable cross and then the right cable cross, and you'll want to go up until you are doing your first middle left cable cross. You're going to stop just before there, and that completes that's how you can finish off your heart set, is when you get to the first left cable cross in the middle between doing the 3 peg left and right cable crossing. And then once you have that, if you're making this hat, then you'll decrease by every other peg, toss the bottom loop over, and draw string cast off. But that is how you go about doing your pattern for making the heart shape cable. And so that's it. You're done.